Imagine living in a world that couldn't be saved. A world in which animals and ecosystems are slowly depleting as humanity pollutes the wild. A world in which diseases spread and hinder the lives of millions. Sound familiar? Luckily today, we live in a world where we have various technologies to better the planet. A technology that betters the planet is genetic engineering. From uses in animal cloning, crops, food, vaccine development, and human editing, genetic engineering is bettering the planet. But what exactly is genetic engineering? Genetic engineering is the process of using various lab technologies to alter DNA in organisms. Often, DNA is altered or copied for a specific use or function. As genetic engineering was created in 1973, it is still a new and evolving technology that previous generations did not have to learn how to live with. Thus, it is important to fully understand both the potential good and bad genetic engineering can bring to society. Specifically, there are many ethical concerns regarding genetic engineering. These concerns arise from how the technology is regulated. Regulations not only vary from country to country, but even vary in different uses of genetic engineering. However, despite these concerns, genetic engineering is a necessary tool for the future. Genetic engineering positively influences animals, medicine, and crops. Genetic engineering is altering public health by helping eliminate the spread of certain diseases. In a scholarly journal article, 2 science professors researched the use of genetic engineering technologies with regard to Lyme disease. The professors discovered that current technology can inhibit the transmission of Lyme bacteria from mice to ticks, a move that could wipe out Lyme disease among humans. Due to the fact that millions of people are affected by Lyme disease, genetic engineering has the potential to better the world globally. Additionally, genetic engineering also advances public health through gene therapies. Gene therapies alter human cells to combat various genetic diseases. Specifically, sickle cell disease, one of the most common genetic blood disorders, can be treated through gene therapies. For instance, in an interview between science journalist Dan Falk and renowned scientific author Matthew Cobb, they discuss how gene therapies are used to treat sickle cell disease, finding that they altered her red blood cells, and 3 years later, she's as fit as a fiddle. Essentially, genetically altering human cells has allowed many people to receive treatments for diseases that otherwise would be left untreated and ultimately give them a better quality of life. In addition to improvements in public health, genetic engineering is also a tool for conservation. For instance, genetic engineering is a tool for conservation through animal cloning. Today, there's been an alarming trend of dwindling animal populations. To combat this issue, animal cloning can be used to strengthen and increase animal populations. For example, in a scholarly journal article discussing cloning buffalo from somatic cells, researchers find that the use of non-viable somatic cells for handmade cloning can enable production of cloned animals from tissues obtained from extinct or endangered animals. To clarify, genetic engineering technologies have advanced to allow animal cloning to occur from cells and tissues from various animals. As a result of these advancements, it allows for animals to be cloned, which can help increase the population. Furthering this idea, Curtis Jukes, an employee at Animal Cloning Labs in Utah State University, in an interview with Weber State students Pearl Johnson and Ava Wright, discussed how animal cloning has the potential to save endangered species that otherwise have no way of being saved. Since genetic engineering has developed enough to allow animals to be cloned, species can be altered to withstand diseases or even rehabilitate populations. With technology that has this large of an impact, it is important to be embraced within conservation acts. In addition to animal conservation, genetic engineering is a tool for agricultural conservation. Similarly to dwindling animal populations, crops and ecosystems are also becoming more and more limited from human actions. Genetic engineering has allowed farmers to better their crop yields through altering the plants to become stronger. Jose B. Cepeda, a renowned agricultural scientist and researcher, discusses these agricultural uses in a scholarly article, finding that genetically altered crops are engineered to tolerate specific herbicides or resist certain insect species. Other cultivated crops have been engineered for virus-resistant and other traits. Although many uses of genetic engineering are used in farming, the technology can be used in other plants to help combat pests, viruses, or even human involvement, thus allowing genetic engineering to become a vital tool in protecting nature around the world. While there are oppositions to genetic engineering from variations in regulations, they are a necessary part for the potential reach of genetic engineering. Understanding and enhancing these regulations is what will allow genetic engineering to better the world. While many positive outcomes can come from genetic engineering, there are also many limitations in how it is regulated. One of the main concerns with current regulations is that genetic engineering technologies are still relatively new. With newer technology, it is hard to come to an agreement on what should be regulated. In a scholarly journal article examining the challenges in gene editing at an international summit on human gene editing, the authors found that both scientists and experts can barely come to an agreement on regulations of current technology. It will be impossible when it is advanced. Due to the fact that even in smaller discussions on genetic engineering regulations, it is hard for the technology to fully be regulated. With these variations in regulations, it can allow for the potential misuse of genetic engineering technology that can have disastrous effects. However, all hope is not lost with regulating genetic engineering. Currently, in 2024, there haven't been any world-ending threats from genetic engineering. Yet, it is still important to make sure genetic engineering regulations are based on science and not personal bias. As discussed by agricultural scientist and researcher Cepeda, he highlights these flaws, detailing how issues have very little to do with science and are more drawn from ethics, religion, philosophy, and personal bias. In other words, as most regulations are currently based on various personal biases, it hinders what the technology can do. Changing how genetic engineering is regulated will allow more people to benefit from the technology. Making the technology regulations based on science and data will allow it to have the most success. As a society, it is up to all of us to embrace genetic engineering. Not embracing genetic engineering will lead to the technology becoming a privatized thing. With ways to make the world a better place, if only a small group is controlling it, success will be limited. Ecosystems will continue to deplete, more animals will become extinct, and even small errors can lead to diseases and disastrous human effects. However, if society embraces genetic engineering, then animals can be saved, ecosystems protected, crops increased, humans protected, and an overall enhancement in daily life for everyone. It is up to all of us to embrace genetic engineering. Any action, big or small, will make a huge difference. Eating genetically modified foods, voting in favor of keeping regulations based on science, and becoming more educated are all actions that can be taken. Ultimately, though, changing your mindset from the negative genetic engineering has, or previous bias, to what positive genetic engineering can bring is what will give it the most success in today's world. The world is always changing. Every day, new problems and solutions arise in unpredictable ways. Yet we have the technology to not only better our own lives, but the lives of those around us and the entire planet. So why not alter our future for the better?